Professional wrestling is the one true sport. Other sports have their share of intense, dramatic moments, but nothing can compare with professional wrestling. Welcome to Wrestling History X, where three friends come together to talk about the stories behind the matches. I'm Matt.
I'm a Japanese version of a pizza.
And I am Goju-Shang.
Welcome to episode 161, Collision in Korea.
Two legends, one country.
Awaited. One country.
Someone didn't do their homework.
I know, I was checking this, they referred to this event as an International Sports and Culture Festival for Peace. I forgot about the tagline because I wanted to shoehorn that in.
You are correct. This was a joint production of the Pyongyang International Sports and Culture Festival for Peace by New Japan Pro Wrestling and WCW. It would actually take place on April 28th and 29th, 1995, at the Mayday Stadium in Pyongyang, North Korea, with a combined attendance of 355,000 people.
Damn.
Mm-hmm.
The show would then air in North America on pay-per-view on August 4th, 1995, with a selection of the matches from the two shows.
Dang.
Like one day I think it was 190 and the other day was...
It's like 165 and then 190.
Yeah, 165. Yeah.
And the second day being 190 because of Antonio Inoki, who was trained by, is it? Ricky Dozen. I almost said Ricky Choshu, and I was like, that's not right. Ricky Dozen, who was at least half Korean, or was he full Korean?
Yeah, I think he was half.
But yeah, so that's the connection for the Korean audience, the Korean government, and we all know Inoki, ever the politician.
So 165,000 show up on the first day, and then they realized that not everybody that was supposed to be there had shown up, so threats got sent out, and those other 35,000 had to get off their asses and show up the next day, eh?
I guess so.
Maybe.
Who knows?
I don't know.
It's very possible.
Maybe the other 35,000 were the people that did
Maybe
the
they had to
opening
work.
ceremony.
There you
so
go.
they got the evening off after they, had to get out of costume and
Could be.
did their dances and things.
The opening ceremony, I wish...
We got to see more of it.
Yeah,
and
well,
it was
I mean,
better quality.
Yeah, that's the thing, is I wish there was a video of it that was high def, 4K, something like that, because I bet it would have been
Incredible. Yeah. Like, you don't quite get the scope of it in the low quality, and they don't show very much of it. No. But we all love to see that thing. I remember the Olympics in China, not these last ones, but previously, where everyone was like, holy shit, look at this opening. And granted, this is in China, but it's a similar visual style as far as that many people involved in synchronized movement.
But we are in Korea. So it literally is a trip around the world to find us something delicious to eat.
Ooh, yeah.
So what did you bring for us this time?
Well, we're in Korea, and unfortunately on Sundays in Oklahoma City, it's not always easy to find everything that you want. So I had to go with what I could get. I really, really wanted to get these Korean chicken sandwich thingies from this place that we went to a few weeks back called The Parlor. But they were not available for delivery, and I could not go and get them. So I ordered some Korean takeout through a place called Gojigo, possibly Gogigo. I'm not for sure the correct pronunciation.
We'll go with whatever you want to go with.
I'm going to call it Gojigo.
Gojigo.
Yeah. But I went for, they've got a wide variety of stuff on there, some different bowls and appetizers and little snackies and whatnot. But I figured I'd go for something that would be hearty, hopefully flavorful, and it just sounded kind of good on the menu. Some Korean fried chicken, which I believe is just dark meat that is lightly battered and fried nice, extra crispy, and then some kimchi fried rice. I had requested that it be topped with green onion and sesame seed and peanuts, but only the green onion seemed to have made it.
Aw. It was still good. The kimchi rice is nice.
No mini corn?
No mini corn.
Okay.
No baby corn.
Nope. Yeah, it was pretty good. It, in my opinion, needed a little sauce on the chicken or something, but luckily Michael had some sriracha and a little bit of soy sauce, so I could drizzle a little bit.
Make some Asian A1.
Yeah.
I don't know. It might be because it was delivery. It might be the reason why the chicken was a little drier.
Yeah.
Because it kind of sat in the container for a little bit longer than it probably should have.
Yeah.
But I mean,
and it was done.
The flavor of it, other than it being just a little bit dry, it was good.
Oh yeah.
And the rice was very good.
Yeah, I mean it was still crunchy, even though.
Yeah.
And I mean that's the trick.
Still crispy. The rice was still very flavorful. And
cornstarch is the trick.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I'm not mad. I definitely order from there again just to see what other stuff from there is like. I figured I'd go on the safer side because never ordered from there before. But yeah,
I know
pretty
now
tasty.
It makes me want to make my own kimchi fried rice.
Let me.
That was pretty great.
Do my obligatory bite on the air. Let's see. Can we hear the crunch of the chicken?
Nope. Absolutely.
Not too much, but
I heard it.
It was good.
Loud and clear. Loud and clear.
Well, something that would happen right around the same time as Collision in Korea, the week before, got a few movies that hit theaters. The Net,
Never
Kids,
seen it. I have seen it.
Operation Dumbo Drop, and
saw it in the theater.
Waterworld.
I love Waterworld.
I know you do.
Ew.
I've never seen The Net. That's
Sandra
Bullock and
hacking?
Hacking,
Yeah.
Sounds fun.
It's a great movie.
Kids, Larry Clark of Tulsa, Real Creep. Written by Harmony Korine, directed by Larry Clark.
Okay, I was like, is that somebody who made it, or was he one of the kids? Or...
He directed it. Harmony Korine wrote it. He was like 19. I'm like, I should never say this out loud, but I'm a Harmony Korine fan. Kids is definitely not the Harmony Korine movie for me, but he didn't direct it.
Have they written or directed anything else that I may have seen?
Spring Breakers.
Okay.
It was Harmony Korine. Gummo. You ever see Gummo?
Yeah.
It's Harmony Korine. Trash Humpers.
I gotta look just to make sure I'm trying to
as you can tell, Harmony Korine doesn't write mainstream.
No, I think
films.
his closest was Spring Breakers. He recently did Beach Bum, which is kind of like what if Harmony Korine made an Adam Sandler movie. It is wild.
Interesting.
Let's see here.
I'm missing another big one. Julian Donkey Boy. Most of his movies are upsetting.
That sounds like
Just so you know.
I think I have seen Kids a long time ago because it was kind of like one of those like.
It lived on VHS. It's like, you got to see this thing. It's crazy.
You have to see it. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I worked at
I definitely
Blockbuster
saw
when it came
it
out.
a long time ago.
Yeah.
And then I saw Spring Breakers, and it had its charms, but
I was hyped for it, but like I said, I'm a Harmony Korine fan.
And see, every time somebody says Spring Breakers, I always get it confused with
Spring Break.
I get it confused with Spring Breakdown, which is a cheesy comedy with like Rachel Dratch and Amy Poehler. And
Forgot about Rachel Dratch.
that's definitely a
You got
crossing of the paths. That
you got somebody else, Missy Pyle or whatever her name is, that's drunk hugging a tree.
I want you to tell us about your love for Waterworld, though, because I know you love this movie.
It's just one of those. I rented this movie on VHS as a kid, and in the first 5 minutes, Kevin Costner is on a raft and he pisses into the contraption and then drinks his own piss. And as a small child, I thought that was the coolest thing I'd ever seen in a movie. Is that he made his piss drinkable and then he drank it. Probably says a lot about me and probably why I'm a Harmony Korine fan. But
it's a good thing he didn't like take his shoe off and start sucking his own toe or something.
No, I don't want that. I have a foot phobia. But and I had not seen any of the Mad Max movies at this point in my life. I was pretty young. I'm a big fan of the Mad Max series, but Waterworld is Mad Max on the water, and I had not seen any Mad Max movies or was probably even aware of them at that young age. So this was probably had an effect similar to like a Road Warrior on somebody a decade ahead of time at a similar age. So I recognize that Waterworld is a flawed movie, but it's a blast, and Dennis Hopper is a villain. Always a good time.
I will admit, I have never seen Waterworld.
It's fun.
No, it's
Like
not.
literally,
It's fun.
literally, it came out and people just shat all over it.
Yeah.
And so I was just like, I don't need to see this.
It's fun. There's one really bad, one scene with like some really horrific CGI, but outside of that, it's pretty good. It looks pretty good.
No. No. Sorry.
I like Waterworld.
I worked
It's
at
okay.
Blockbuster when all of these movies came out on video.
I was a little
Waterworld.
kid. It was exciting.
I know. You were one of those little kids that I said, shut up and go over and look at the...
Look at Waterworld.
Yeah. Babe is right over there.
Oh, Babe's definitely better than Waterworld. Babe's a stone cold classic.
Yeah. No, Waterworld, I already had issues with Kevin Costner, and then he made a unnecessary, shitty... I mean, some of the stuff they did in Waterworld, I'll give him credit for, because it became helpful to the world many, many years later. But
Don't
the
shoot
movie
on water.
itself...
It's a famously like laborious production.
Yeah,
so
it was the
there's-
most expensive movie ever made at one point.
Yeah.
I don't know if it still is that, but...
I don't think it is. Definitely
Nah.
not. But
Yeah,
at the time, it was.
There's Avatar now. So.
Yeah.
True.
It was basically kind of like, obviously not nearly as good of a movie as Apocalypse Now, but it had that kind of like, holy shit, like, this is way harder than we expected it to be, and it cost way more money than we thought.
That's why they made Mad Max in a desert. Because
They were, George Miller's from Australia too, so it makes sense. But
no, Waterworld, no. Operation Dumbo Drop.
And we kind of talked
It
about
was-
it a few weeks ago.
It was
Whenever,
cute, fun.
I saw that
whatever,
was the one that I
cheesy
saw in the
movie.
theater because I was young enough to where it's like, oh, we take him to see the.
Yeah.
I think it's a Disney movie.
'Cause that was the
Yeah.
one with Ray Liotta,
correct.
Dennis Leary, and Danny Glover. I'm trying
Yeah,
to
I think
remember.
so.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not the one with Bill
Yeah.
Murray.
I only saw
No,
that one
that
time.
was larger than life.
Yeah.
Yeah, I only saw it one time just because we used to get movies for free at Blockbuster, so I'd check out everything. Kids, Blockbuster was a family a family rental place, so kids was not allowed.
Kids is
on
so-
our shelves because it was NC-17. So
For
I
good
had
reason.
to send people to the mom and pop shops down the street or to Hollywood Video to rent kids. But the net, let me just tell you something. The Net was great. The Net was the movie that I skipped class at college to go see constantly because the Dollar Theater was right off of campus. So if I didn't want to go to class, I'd just walk over and
See the net.
I watched The Net like
I
2
think
weeks in a row.
I think The Net is a very fun movie.
Yeah.
I haven't obviously seen it probably in 20 plus years, so it may be.
It still holds up.
I can guarantee it's
If you were
probably
to-
very dated.
if you were to
because
put
it's doing something with computers in
Well, that's the thing
1995.
is, The Net is what inspired a lot of the things that we have today. Like, that was the first time on film or TV that, we have online ordering now because on The Net, Sandra Bullock ordered a pizza online to be delivered, and then it caught on from there.
So, what do you?
Telling you.
What
Mind
blow?
We have Sandy Bullock.
What are the if you were to put both films on the scales of justice, The Net and Hackers, which one sinks and which one rises?
The Net is a more fun film that I would give to just anyone. Hackers is the better film.
Oh, really? The Hackers, I think, is just a good goofy time. Is The Net even goofier?
No.
Okay.
It's just more your like thriller,
Suspense.
Oh, it's more,
suspenseful
okay.
thriller.
Okay, yeah. It's not as like
It's about identity
it's
theft.
not. Yeah, it's not like it's not a wacky teen movie.
No,
Angela Bennett is out to clear her name.
Oh my gosh. I mean, of all of these, Net's the one I have not seen, so
It's got
I might have to hack into.
some.
The Net.
so your
songs
homework
by-
is to watch The Net. I'll take the homework of watching Waterworld.
I have a beautiful Blu-ray collection of.
I've watched them
Waterworld.
all, so
Shane's
I'm
good.
So your homework is some other movie that you want to choose.
Yeah.
or I might just watch The Net again because
There you go.
Yeah, you love
It's
the
great.
Net.
And then we should all watch the Hackers as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, Hackers was fun.
I mean, it's been a long time since I've seen Hackers.
Zero
so
Cool,
That was
baby.
my introduction to Angelina Jolie and what was her old husband's name?
Billy Bob Thornton.
No, the guy that she was married to. That's in Hackers. one of the main guys.
Like the main dude, the curly hair
Johnny something, Johnny Lee Miller, or
Johnny Lee Miller, yeah.
is that his name? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were together.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I probably knew that and just had forgotten.
No, I can't. If you've never seen The Net, watch The Net. It's great. Annie Lennox has some songs on the soundtrack even. It's what I learned what a gimlet was. That's what I learned what cocktail onions were all about. Or sorry, was it Gimlet? Gibson? Whichever one has the onion. I think it's Gibson now that I'm saying that. Anywho, yeah, it's great. Great movie. It was the number one rental at Blockbuster that year when it came out. Not only did it inspire online ordering pizza, but it helped inspire Blockbuster's we need 100 copies of this for any big title or movie they think is going to be a big title. You're welcome, world.
Yeah, we're Chain's singing the praises of The Net. I'd say mostly forgotten movie at this point.
Mm-hmm. It's great.
Well, let's see if Collision in Korea is a forgotten show. We get highlights of competitors along with scenes from the festival. And I think we've kind of said it feels very opening ceremonies anytime we see scenes from the festival.
Grandiose.
Really. Yeah. Eric Bischoff then welcomes us, and he is joined by Mike Tenay and Kazu Ishikawa. Now, if you recognize Ishikawa, it's because he's Sonny Ono.
Oh, no.
Who we last saw at Uncensored 1995, episode 146. And the three discuss the political nature of the show, along with how the crowd will respond, as Korea doesn't really know wrestling.
Yeah, it seems like they said that they've been playing like Ric Flair and Inoki matches on like TV leading up.
Like literally, they had 2 TV stations, and one of them was just playing a bunch of old wrestling matches.
Yeah, so
yeah,
just give them a little taste.
So we go straight to our first match: Too Cold Scorpio versus Wild Pegasus. And the match starts with a back and forth as the two trade wrist locks with athletic escapes before trading monkey flips from a knuckle lock position into a shared roll-up sequence from multiple 2 counts. Scorpio then sends Benoit to the corner and charging in, only to be dumped out to the apron, where Too Cold leaps up to the ropes, coming off with a moonsault press and a super kick for a near fall. Body slam by Scorpio before heading up top again, going for a splash, which Wild Pegasus avoids and starts laying it in with a knee to the midsection, a rubber band slam, and a drop kick to send Too Cold out to the floor.
And yeah, we got Too Cold firing on all cylinders. Mm-hmm. We know he started as a slippy flippy boy, but he's looking pretty solid here.
Benoit tries to bring Scorpio in the hard way, only for Too Cold to float over and deliver another super kick. Scorpio then goes for a tombstone piledriver, but Wild Pegasus reverses to hit one of his own before heading up top for this swan dive headbutt for the pin and the win.
Good start to the day.
Yeah, it's nice and quick.
Yeah.
Exciting. You put these guys on first for a reason. I don't know. Granted, this is a compilation of the matches, but I imagine this was probably an opening match on one of the shows.
It might have been the second or third match on day one. I don't really remember.
I love Eric Bischoff just going in hard, calling it North Korea a commie country. Doesn't even bother saying like communist. It's wow. He's a real shitheel on this show.
We then go to our second match: Tokimitsu Ishizawa versus Yuji Nagata. Now, Ishizawa would become better known as Kendo Kashin once he would return from excursion. As of right now, both him and Nagata are young lions.
That's what my guess was. I was like, all right, well, they're both in black trunks, but that doesn't necessarily mean anything. Some Japanese wrestlers just wrestle in black trunks, but my assumption was that they were young lions.
So does Nagata get a new name?
No.
Okay.
He's Yuji Nagata till the day he dies, which hopefully isn't anytime soon.
And the last time we saw Yuji was at Battle 7, episode 140. Our January 4th show, which is where a lot of these guys last time we saw. But so both men are trained in amateur wrestling, so they quickly take this match to the mat as they trade leg locks and arm locks. Tokimitsu transitions into a body scissors sleeper, even as Yuji continues to work the leg until they reach the ropes. Ishizawa starts stomping away on Nagata, delivering some European uppercuts before applying a sleeper, which he then transitions into a cross arm breaker, only for Yuji to make the ropes. Nagata comes back with a T-bone suplex before hooking on the Nagata Lock 3, which is a cross-face scissored arm bar combo, for the submission and the win.
And I was surprised to hear it here, but if we've seen the dark side of the ring on this. Eric Bischoff talks about his run that he takes in the morning and how he was freaked out that he was being like followed the whole time, and they're just like, yeah, just go back inside, because everybody's basically here, but they're here on lockdown. So I was surprised that he was saying that like in the pay-per-view, as opposed to like...
They are not recording this in Korea.
They are not. They definitely are not. This is not for Korean television, but I was still a little surprised that he was just like throwing those jabs.
They then show us more footage of the dancers from before the show. Like I said, very opening ceremonies-esque. We then go to our third match. Ookami Gundan of Masahiro Chono and Hiro Saito versus El Samurai and Tadao Yasuda. So the last time we saw Chono, Battle 7, episode 140. Saito was all the way back at Super Show 2, episode 65.
Damn.
Been a little bit.
Yasuda is actually a former sumo wrestler, even making it to Komosube.
Ah, big boy.
Which is the 4th highest rank. Is that right?
Yeah, it goes
Yokozuna.
Ozeki, Komosubi.
Okay, so it's the
No. Yeah, Komosubi and then Sekiwaki, right? It's either Sekiwaki Komosubi or Komosubi Sekiwaki.
Yeah, I always get this.
It's in alphabetical order, so Komosubi is the third one. Somebody taught me that trick once. It's like, oh, well, you know the first two, but the second two, it's in alphabetical order.
Okay, that's where I was confused. I'm like, but Yokozuna's first.
No, that's just one of my, one of my friends, shout out my friend David. He's like, I always forgot, but that's how I remember.
What's up, Dave?
Yeah.
I know, I just have to write it down when we do fancy sumo, so.
Yeah, we're some sumo fans over here. So I don't know a lot about Tadao Yasuda, but it's fun to see him do some sumo-esque things in the ring here.
But he had, obviously he had retired from sumo a few years prior. Gundan takes turns working over Yashuda's arm to start before he's able to tag in Samurai, who pounds away on Saito before hitting a body slam and a leg drop for a 2 count. Chono comes in, nailing Samurai with a Kikuza kick, but El Samurai comes back with a sunset flip for a near fall. Yoshida's tagged in and he delivers a big boot and a body slam, followed by going for an elbow drop. But Chono is basically already back on his feet when he drops it.
He might be big, but he's not fast. Yasuda is a large guy.
Gundan with a double team clothesline, followed by a senton by Saito. But Yoshida uses his power to take Hiro to his corner, bringing in Samurai, only for him to miss a drop kick as Saito holds on to the ropes. Gundan's working over Samurai with a spine buster by Saito, a camel clutch and inverted atomic drop by Chono. Saito returns only to telegraph a back body drop, allowing Samurai to kick him and make the hot tag. Yoshida's in with a vertical suplex, palm strikes, and a big boot to Saito. Chono comes in to receive some palm strikes as well as an avalanche splash in the corner, followed by a body slam. Samurai flies in off the top with a headbutt for a 2 count, but then Chono's trick knee acts up as he mule kicks El Samurai. Gundan with a double team, including a whip into a Yakuza kick, followed by Chono hitting a top rope shoulder block for the pin and the win. Bischoff then sends us to a video package where we see Ric Flair, Muhammad Ali, Antonio Inoki, and others doing some promotional work around Korea.
Yeah, walking around, they show them the sights.
And then we go to our 4th match. Manami Toyota and Mariko Yoshida versus Akira Hakata and Bull Nakano. These are some big names, guys.
Oh, yeah.
If you don't know.
Fucking Akira Hokuto comes out with awesome, like, demon mask and katana.
Yeah, see,
it's great.
It threw me at first because seeing the two of them walk down, it's like, all right, I know Bull, big blue hair, and then, the other one walking behind with big red wig or something like that.
Connected to the mask.
And then I looked away from the TV for a second and then looked back, and then I had to try and figure out, all right, which one is she? Because nobody looks like they were in the costume that I just saw walking down to the ring.
Yeah. I mean, the one I'm least familiar with is Mariko Yoshida, but like Manami
There
Toyota.
might be a reason for that.
And Akira Hokuto, and then, of course, Bull Nakano are all big names for 90s women's wrestling.
In fact, Hokuto is a Wrestling Observer Newsletter Hall of Famer, and she would actually also marry Kensuke Sasaki later this year. Some fun personal information about her.
Were they talking about
which
that
they
during
do
the
mention?
show?
They do mention later in the show.
Because I heard them talking about something about playing matchmaker for a Sasaki, but I didn't hear the name that they were talking about.
While Toyota is also a Wrestling Observer Newsletter Hall of Famer, and at this point had won Match of the Year in 1993, but she would also win it for 1995 in a match not for this match specifically, but for a different match that she would have in her promotion.
All Japan, right?
Yeah. And the last time we saw Nakano was at SummerSlam 94, episode 130. So Toyota and Yoshida go for a handshake, but Okuda and Nakano dump Toyota out to the floor and start working over Yoshida with double team maneuvers until Toyota comes flying in off the top rope with a crossbody onto Okuda and Nakano. Toyota and Yoshida try for some double team maneuvers of their own, only for Nakano to take them down with a double clothesline, followed by a clothesline to Toyota to turn her inside out. Toyota is then being tossed around by Nakano, where she fires up with a drop kick and multiple second rope missile drop kicks for a 2 count. Yoshida's tagged in, but as she is taken down immediately with a clothesline from Nakano, before Hokuto flies in off the top rope with a splash for a near fall. Hokuto keeps up the attack with a spinning heel kick and a pile driver for a 2 count, before locking on a Romero special.
Surfboard.
Nakano tags in to lock on a Bulls Angelino stretch, which we've seen this move before. It's a half sharpshooter, half butterfly lock move. I found that Paige actually used to do it as the Paige tap out, the PTO. So we have seen it I'd never seen it before. We saw Nakano do it, but I never really watched a whole lot of Paige. So.
Yeah, and see, I mean, when Paige did it, I think hers was different than...
Yeah, it was slightly different.
Because, I mean, Bull was big old beast and Paige was this little thing, so yeah, hers went on a little differently.
Toyota runs in and breaks up that hold. Nakano continues to work the back of Yoshida with more stretches before hitting a leg drop. And then Yoshida is tossed to the ropes by Hokuto. Coming back, she cartwheels away from a clothesline before hitting a crossbody, a pair of handspring back elbows, and a fisherwoman suplex for a near fall.
I mean, yeah, these girls are firing on all cylinders. They are flying from all sides of the ring quite wonderfully.
Yoshida goes to the top rope, only for Hokuto to meet her there, bringing Yoshida down with a superplex for the pin. And no! Yoshida kicks out. Hokuto is holding Yoshida for Nakano to come in off the second rope with a clothesline, only for Yoshida to move to avoid, allowing her to make the tag to Toyota, who comes in with a splash off the top rope. But Hokuto gets her feet up into Toyota's chin.
Both boots up.
Nakano delivers a powerbomb for a 2 count, tries for another, but Toyota rolls through for a sunset flip for a near fall.
She does a power bomb, and Eric Bischoff calls it a pile driver, to which I call him
Vince McMahon.
Yeah, Vince McMahon.
What a maneuver!
At least what a maneuver is fun.
Toyota goes for a suplex, but Nakano is too much for her. So Yoshida comes in to join, only for Nakano to then hit a double suplex on them.
I mean, what a fun spot.
Hokuto comes flying in with a splash, only for Toyota and Yoshida to move and kick Nagano down to the floor, followed by a double drop kick to Hokuto to send her out to the floor as well. Yoshida goes through the ropes with a tope suicida, followed by a springboard plancha by Toyota out onto Nakano and Hokuto. Back in the ring, Toyota body slams Hokuto before going up top for a moonsault for the 2 count.
And during all of this, Eric Bischoff says, textbook offense. And I'm like, fuck you, you've never seen anything like this. You fucking dickhead.
Toyota then lifts Hokuto onto her shoulders for the Ocean Cyclone Suplex, but Hokuto rolls through for a near fall. Yoshida comes in with a clothesline that Hokuto ducks and delivers a bridging German suplex. Nakano is tagged in, sending Yoshida to a corner where she leaps up to the top, coming off with a crossbody for a 2 count. Yoshida hits several drop kicks, only for Nakano to no-sell them. So Toyota comes in for them to hit stereo drop kicks to finally knock Nakano down. Nakano's then tossed to the ropes, ducks a double-team clothesline, while Hokuto climbs the ropes, flying in with a missile drop kick to her opponents.
The split leg one where each foot for each opponent, which I just love that so much.
Nakano then takes her opponents out to the floor, where Hokuto follows out with a senton from the top rope. Once back in the ring, Nakano climbs the ropes, while Hokuto body slams Yoshida, before Nakano leaps off with a flying leg drop for the pin and the win. Short list.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
I was going to ask if this was the one that you were hinting at.
Yes.
Oh, I
You
mean,
were
yeah.
mentioning short list women's match, us.
We don't see a whole lot of them, and these girls did the work.
Yes.
I also love the senton spot where it's like Bull Nakano's like not there to save, and she's too far away. So yeah, they didn't wait for her to get there to catch him. They did the senton.
Yep.
I mean, I'm all for safety, but not like don't do things you don't know how to do, but also don't do things that don't make sense. So I appreciate that.
Yes. Smart match. Good match.
Fast match, exciting match.
Mm-hmm.
So we head to our 5th match. Scott Norton versus Shinya Hashimoto for the IWGP Heavyweight Championship. Last time we saw both these guys, that was at Battle 7, episode 140. And the two show respect with a handshake to begin, before a feeling out process with neither gaining an advantage, until Norton avalanche splashes Shinya in the corner several times. Scott sends Hashimoto to the opposite corner and charges in, only to run into some kicks, followed by a Shinya spinning heel kick for a 2 count.
I love Shinya. You know what I kind of thought I had while watching this? Is Scott Norton kind of like a New Japan, like Tomohiro Ishii at this point in time? Whereas like he's a guy that can like get a win, but he can take a pin, but I don't know. Just a thought I had. He's a big beefy boy that is no bullshit.
Hashimoto begins to work Norton's arm as Bischoff talks about Scott's AWA days, before Tenay mentions that Norton went to the same high school as Road Warrior Hawk.
That's a good tidbit.
Scott fires up with a leaping shoulder tackle and multiple short arm clotheslines, but Shinya ducks a clothesline attempt, delivering another spinning heel kick before going back to the arm work. Hashimoto starts hitting some of his stiff kicks, but Norton just absorbs them, ducks another spinning heel kick before delivering a clothesline and a reverse neckbreaker for a near fall. Tenay lets us know that there is a 20-minute time limit, as Scott hits a body slam, some elbow drops, before trying for a powerbomb, which Shinya reverses into a back body drop, followed by a drop kick. Hashimoto's back to the arm work, only for Norton to rake the eyes, starts scraping Shinya's face across the ropes before hitting a pump splash for a 2 count. Scott delivers several shots to the gut and starts to work a chin lock, as Tenay says that there is about 6 minutes left. Norton with the gut buster, elbow drop, and a clothesline for a near fall, but Hashimoto fires up to leg sweep Scott, starts to use his stiff kicks before delivering a DDT for a 2 count. Shinya then goes to a chin lock, only for Norton to fight out to hit what was supposed to be a power slam, but ends up looking like a DDT. Scott then goes for the power bomb again, but it's blocked by Hashimoto, so Norton transitions into a vertical suplex for a near fall. The two men are trading chops as we're told that there are about 3 minutes left, when Shinya with a thrust kick for a 2 count. Scott comes right back with a kick to the midsection before finally hitting the powerbomb, followed by heading up top to hit a splash for the pin. And no, Hashimoto kicks out. Norton tosses Shinya to the ropes, but then the bell rings, and it's a time limit draw.
Could have timed that time limit draw a little better, but,
Yes.
I do love seeing Shinya Hashimoto kick people, and I like watching Scott Norton hit people, so there's that. Also, I believe it was today that said that Scott Norton trained in Canada with Pillman and Chris Benoit, and I was like, oh, neat to know. He's just been living his best Japanese life.
Yeah. So remember that this show took place in April, but was airing in August. But during that time, Shinya had lost the title to Keiji Muta. So he wasn't really the champion at the time that this all happened.
Yeah.
Eric then sends us to a video package with more highlights of the festival celebration. We get some large flag waving, some gymnasts, dancers with basketballs. The stands are even used in the production, which I thought was kind of cool.
Yeah.
Kind of hard to see because the quality of the video is not great, but
It was beautiful, just what they showed.
absolutely. We then go to our 6th match. Tadao Yasuda versus Road Warrior Hawk.
And this match happened on night 2.
Correct. Yoshida wasn't working double duty, was from the second night, and it was actually supposed to be a tag match, but Road Warrior Animal was still out with a back injury, so couldn't be a full Road Warriors match.
He didn't want to void his Lloyds of London's contract.
If they had those back then.
They did. He was one of the guys that had him. There was only a handful of them back then that had him, but he was one of them.
So Tadao starts it off with palm strikes, but Hawk responds with a clothesline and a shoulder block. The two start running into each other like sumo wrestlers, with Yoshida getting the advantage. But the Road Warrior jumps right back to his feet to drop Tadao with a clothesline. Hawk with a leaping shoulder tackle, body slam, and heads up top for a splash, only for Yoshida to avoid and deliver a butterfly suplex, which of course Road Warrior no-sells and connects with another clothesline. Hawk hits a power slam and a fist drop before going up top again for the flying clothesline, for the pin, and the win.
I love the stomp. He does the sumo stomp. And I'm like, yeah, that made me feel good. And then, of course, Eric shits on it. And I can't remember, is it Ishikawa? The other announcer?
Yeah. Sonny Ono.
Sonny Ono is really trying to fight back. And he's obviously right. And Eric Bischoff is wrong. But has Eric Bischoff ever been right?
For 83
Once
weeks.
in his entire life.
Hiring
And it lasted for 83 weeks.
Yeah, hiring, allowing the NWO to happen.
Yeah. We then go to our 7th match. The Steiner brothers of Rick and Scott Steiner versus Hiroshi Hase and Kazuke Sasaki.
I mean, we've seen these 4 guys really have some bangers in the past.
Absolutely. We last saw Rick at 3-Way Dance, episode 148, while the other 3 were at Battle 7, episode 140.
Rick was off getting his real estate license.
Braun Sr.
Just kidding. He's a real estate agent now.
So Hase and Scott start us off, where Steiner tosses Hiroshi out of the ring onto Yuji Nagata with a gorilla press slam. Sasaki and Rick both run in with the dog-faced gremlin drilling Kensuke with a belly-to-belly suplex, sending him to the floor for Hase and Sasaki to regroup.
You love those. I love the Steiner suplexes, even though they're so not safe. They're just dumping men on their heads and necks.
Back in, Scott and Hase go into a knuckle lock, which Hiroshi bridges out of before hitting a hook kick and a drop kick, only for Scott to come back with a T-bone suplex and a tilt-a-whirl side slam. Rick and Kensuke both tag in, where the two trade blows, including multiple Steiner lines, which Sasaki no-sells. Ducking another and delivering a thrust kick, goes for an elbow drop, only for Rick to move. They fight over a waistlock when Kensuke gets the advantage to hit a release German. Heads up top, where he leaps off, but it's right into the waiting arms of Rick to deliver an overhead belly-to-belly suplex. Sasaki reverses an Irish whip and nails Rick with a power slam. Hase comes in to deliver chops, which the dog-faced gremlin no-sells, before connecting with a Steiner line and a reverse Oklahoma stampede. Scott comes in with a spinning belly-to-belly suplex for a 2 count. Continues the attack with kicks, only for Hase to catch Scott with a desperation dropkick, but Steiner grabs the ankle to prevent him from making a tag.
Oh, I know, I love that. Just grab your line, just ankle, so simple. Makes so much sense.
Rick comes in for a release German suplex for a near fall.
Hase right on his head.
Followed by Scott coming in to lock on an STF, but Hiroshi makes it to the ropes to break the hold, only to then be whipped right into a Scott overhead belly-to-belly suplex. The Steiners continue to work over Hase when Hiroshi attempts to make his way across the ring, only for Scott to hit a Tiger Driver for a 2 count. Rick is tagged in and he tosses Hase to the ropes, who comes back ducking a Steiner line and hitting a Uranagi out of nowhere, allowing him to make the hot tag. Kensuke in with drop kicks and body slams to everyone, but a low blow by Scott slows the momentum, allowing the Steiners to try for a double team clothesline, only for Sasaki to duck and deliver a double clothesline of his own. Kensuke lifts up Rick with Hiroshi flying off the top rope for a back suplex bulldog combo. Hase then continues with a giant swing of Rick, getting 12 rotations.
Airplane spin, baby.
Which causes Hiroshi to be dizzy as well.
Inspiring the Cesaros of today. Well, whatever he's going to go by next. With your swing. Thank you,
I think he's
Mr.
trademarked CSRO.
I know. I wish he would just go away and then for a while show up somewhere with a new gimmick.
Claudio.
Come back as Claudio Castavelli.
Doesn't matter what it is, but not Cesaro.
So he's the next one that has left and gone to initials. You got PAC, you got FTR, now you got CSZR or whatever it is.
CSRO.
Yeah, but it's like, dude, Cesaro's not even a good name. Whatever.
The two men then fight over a waistlock, with Rick finally hitting another release German.
Oh, disgusting.
Before tagging in Scott, who delivers a pump handle slam for a near fall, as Sasaki breaks it up. Rick runs in to brawl with Kensuke, taking him out to the floor, while Scott nails a Steiner screwdriver for the pin and the win. Which we don't actually see because the camera decides to be on the brawling on the
I
inside.
know, I was like, what was it? I know it was a big move. I rewound it a couple times and was like, I mean, probably a screwdriver.
Oh, it was definitely a screwdriver.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what the position he had him in.
Go Steiner boys.
I mean, a good match between these four men. Not the best one
Not
we've
as good
seen.
as their last one that we saw between these four.
I mean, the best one is still the one where he just tosses him up and then catches for the driver.
Yeah.
And it's like, that move alone is just one of the most memorable things.
It's like Eric talking about the Steiner brothers trying to get into WCW, but you know the tag team competition right now over there is pretty intense.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, the Nasty Boys and the Blue Bloods.
I mean, I like the Blue Bloods.
Harlem Heat.
I like Harlem Heat, but none of them are the Steiner brothers.
No.
No shade to Regal and Eaton.
No.
No shade to Booker T. A little bit of shade to Stevie Ray. We all know what the Nasties can do. They did it every time, every match.
Don't forget about the stud stable.
Oh yes.
Your second favorite.
More like Bunkhouse Bunk.
Like, can we get a faction of the stud stable, or can we just get Eric Watts to join the stud stable and just
So you can hate them all in the same
exactly?
place.
Maybe had he been in there, I would have liked all of them, but they were separated, so I had to hate them all.
individually.
equally, separately.
So our announcers start talking the main event, and Kazao says Flair has no chance, but Eric just laughs it off. We then see a video package of the competitors preparing for the match. And that match is our 8th match, the Nature Boy, Ric Flair, versus Antonio Inoki. And the two men are back and forth with some mat wrestling to start, until Antonio catches Nate with a shoulder block before stomping him out to the floor.
And the crowd is finally actually a little bit alive because it's a big match.
They know who Inoki is.
And they've been playing Ric Flair and Inoki on TV, and Inoki is, the face of this whole transaction. It really is just a government transaction when it comes down to it, which is why it's so historically important.
Back in the ring, the Nature Boy corners Inoki and starts to chop away, which sends Antonio out to the floor to regroup. But Flair follows out to run him into a ring post before bringing back into the ring with a vertical suplex for several 2 counts.
I know it's nice to see the stalling suplex back in via Rick this early in the match.
Nate keeps up the attack with a shin breaker to start working the legs before applying an STF and delivering a chop block. The Nature Boy connects with the rolling knee drop and another shin breaker to lock on the figure 4. But Inoki just powers out of the hold to escape.
Inoki's a big boy, and you haven't worked the leg enough, Rick.
Flair tries to reapply it, but Antonio cradles him up for a near fall, followed by a backslide for a 2 count as well. Inoki's fired up, and he starts to punch Nate from one side of the ring to the other, causing a Flair flop, followed by an Irish whip for the Flair flip, sending the Nature Boy to the floor.
I know, he flipped him too hard. He's got a little bit of size on him, and he didn't make it to that apron. He made it straight to the floor.
He's flipping him for all of Korea. Mm-hmm. Well, North Korea.
Back in the ring, the dirtiest player in the game hits a low blow to take Antonio down before heading up top, where Inoki meets him to press slam him off to the mat. Antonio with a drop kick for a 2 count, and then the two men start trading blows once again, with Flair body slamming Inoki, followed by an elbow drop for a near fall. Nate keeps it up with a back suplex, but the fatigue costs him the pinfall. Flair goes for another body slam, only for Antonio to counter into a head scissors, followed by a rolling kapoo kick. Inoki then heads up top for the flying knee drop, and an enziguri for the pin and the win. Post-match, Flair looks like he wants to keep going, but instead he extends a hand in respect.
Bum, bum, bum. I love
Shake my hand and get me the fuck out of here.
Just to kind of highlight the finish, the knee drop off the top is to the back of Ric Flair's head, and then he hits the enziguri, so it's like not just a knee drop. It's like to the back of the head and then the enziguri. So the pin makes a little more sense.
I mean, I know that Inoki is the kind of the guy that came up with the enziguri, and so it's kind of his signature thing.
Yeah.
But I'm like,
times have changed.
Finish should have come after the knee drop.
Yeah, but it's like insult to injury, I guess. It's like to put Rick down. But yeah, I know what you mean, because that knee drop to the back of the head was pretty gnarly.
So Bischoff says his goodbyes as Antonio celebrates in the ring before we get more highlights of the ceremonies as we fade to black. So I ask you, gentlemen, what are your overall thoughts of Collision in Korea?
We know how important Antonio Inoki is. We haven't seen a whole lot of Antonio Inoki. We were not watching him in his heyday. So we've seen Antonio Inoki in special matches, and we've always been kind of disappointed. I think this is the best Antonio Inoki match we've watched, and it's nice to see kind of a more old school Ric Flair here. Like, it feels more like a 80s Ric Flair than him being basically like top of the mid card almost in WCW right now. But this feels more like and looks more like a good Flair match from back in the day, and this is not an Inoki like roll around the mat thing that we've seen before, where it's like, what's going on here? This feels like a good solid wrestling match, whether it be Japanese or NWA of the 70s or 80s. So that's kind of one of the things where I was like, we've seen some Inokis where we're like, we want to love these matches, and this is the closest to being like, oh, like this feels like a fight. That's what I want out of a wrestling match.
I want to like the show. It's got some good moments to it, but
not a must watch.
Yeah, it's. I mean, you can watch the Dark Side of the Ring, Collision in Korea, and be okay.
Yeah, I would say that
watching it just because we're doing this show. I'm not saying I didn't like it, but I didn't enjoy it as much as I hoped I would.
I agree with that.
It just.
It's kind of a giant exhibition show.
Yeah, I mean, this show is really only worth watching for curiosity
and historical purposes
and historical value. I mean, it's really the only reason. The biggest thing is there's 190,000 people in this stadium, and there is not an atmosphere at all
until the last match, and it's still
so
not
it
enough.
Makes the show feel very surreal.
Also, the post show commentary gives it a weird vibe as well, and then the camera never really shows the crowd at all. It stays on the ring the whole time, so it feels way smaller than it is.
It's like watching wrestling during the COVID times where they had no audience, but they had an audience.
Kind of like that.
Yeah, there's people there. You could see people in the crowd, but nobody really cared. Too much.
I would say if you're going to watch the Dark Side, it's worth watching the Flair Inoki thing just because of what it is, and then the women's tag match.
Yeah.
Everything else, there's better versions of those people having matches together.
That one's right where it needs to be in the middle to kind of wake you up a little bit, get the blood flowing again.
Yeah, this is not the best Too Cold and
Peggy
and Chris Benoit Wild Pegasus match. This is not the best Steiners and
why are they calling him
Hase.
Pegasus? He doesn't have a mask on.
He never wears the mask.
He never have a mask.
No,
I thought he had a mask.
He doesn't have his teeth fixed yet. But it's not the best like Hashimoto match. Obviously, it's not the best Scott Norton match. Although I think the Scott Norton Hashimoto match was serviceable.
And see,
that was probably one of my. I mean, other than
I'm always bored with Scott Norton.
Yeah, and
my introduction to Scott Norton was when he was in WCW, and
this is a typical kind of match for him where it's just slow, and plodding, and because he just doesn't have a whole lot of offense.
Yeah, I think for me, it's just like, well, I like when
Hashimoto's
he's
impressive to
people.
look at, but to watch him wrestle, he
doesn't have the fire of a hawk or animal.
Yeah, had I not seen the stuff that he's done in WCW, I might be more impressed with him with the stuff I see in Japan, but it's just one of those things.
It's like, it's a little bit better than what I'm used to.
It's a Scott Norton match.
Yeah.
All right, let me get comfortable.
Well, glad we watched it. I've been excited to see this. I didn't really even realize there was video of it until more recently. I knew about it, of course, because of Dark Side of the Ring, and I had heard of it before then, but come for the historical
Come for the
reasons,
wrestling, stay for the opening ceremonies.
Yeah, I don't know. But I will say, do you guys agree with my feeling on what we have watched on this show of Inoki?
I have only really watched his one match with Regal, and
that
it
match
was
sucked.
not. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That it was not what I expected to be, but I don't really have anything else to go off of.
I feel like we may have seen
I've seen some other matches, including the ones that we've watched of Inoki, and like.
Do I need to go back and watch him and Muhammad Ali? Am I gonna be excited?
This is probably his best match that we've watched.
I like it when he goes dickhead mode, but here I really got a very good old school Ric Flair vibe from this match that I enjoyed.
I mean, it's definitely not in the top 10 matches of Ric Flair that we've ever watched.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
But I mean, it's definitely better than him going through the motions against Hogan. So
yeah.
I mean,
it's better than Black Scorpion.
Good. Where's the smart marks at? All right, fuck you.
I think it's time we smark it up. So what are some of the best moments of this show?
I don't know. Bull Nakano double suplexing the girls.
Toyota. She is a hottie who can actually wrestle.
I mean, yeah, that women's match is definitely the most exciting match.
The women's match, again, just the stuff that I saw of the opening ceremony thing, that would have been so fucking cool to watch.
Would have liked to have seen more of that.
Just those little bits and pieces were exciting and more interesting than a lot of the matches.
Yeah, it's like I was like, oh, it's a clip show, and then in hindsight, I'm like, well, I'm glad we didn't have to watch 3 hours of this or more.
Mm-hmm. No, before I went into it, that's what I was thinking is this is going to be like a 4-hour show, isn't it? And then I went and pushed play and hit my little arrow up thing to see
150 or something.
How much is it? Yeah, it was 155. I'm like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
But then it felt like it was a 4-hour show.
I didn't quite feel that, but I also watched it in 2 sittings.
I mean, a lot of these, other than the women's match, and maybe even the women's match a little bit, which I was enjoying, so I'm not going to complain too much, but I feel like almost every match went too long.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You know what this feels like? It feels like the world's most attended house show.
Mm-hmm. Oh, definitely.
And that's really kind of what it is. Like, it would have been fun to be there. I would have had a great time in a show like this.
I don't know about that one. It's
Not the one in North Korea, but like if let's say this was like a house show in Oklahoma City, like it would have been a great house show. In Oklahoma City. But it feels like a house show.
Definitely.
It considering how huge it is, it feels smaller than a Clash of Champions.
A small shout out to Mike Tenay for
being awesome.
Because we had Bischoff just shitting all over everything.
Honestly,
and then Sonny Ono trying to throw words in, but it was kind of pointless. But Tenay was actually delivering information that was good.
I mean, I think the best commentary of all time might be Mike Tenay on
that AAA show.
The AAA show. What is it in LA?
When Worlds Collide.
When Worlds Collide in Southern California or whatever. It's definitely the best commentary debut of all time, because that's like his debut commentary work, and it is gorgeous. But here he's doing his job, and Eric Bischoff is making it hard for him. I think that if Eric Bischoff was not the commentator, this show may have been
bring me Jesse, who can tell stories about Inoki or something from the past.
Anything. I mean, bring me Jesse any day of the week, but that ship's kind of sailed.
How about most disappointing? The director on the Steiner screwdriver.
Yeah.
Show us the damn move.
I mean, yeah, they were probably scared that he was actually going to kill him, because Rick done dropped Hase on his head twice, and I was like, oh, Rick, I love you, but be nice to Hase. We like him. We also like Hase a lot. He has the best theme song of all time.
I mean, like I said, it felt like every match was
a
few minutes longer than it needed to be, and that Scorpio and Pegasus
was the quickest one.
Even that match, it felt longer than it probably should have been, and we know they could have gone another 10 minutes and made it interesting, but the way that they were working the match, it just felt like it was a little slow and dragging.
It felt like practice.
Yeah, it wasn't them.
Yeah, they've had better performances in front of 1,000 people in Philadelphia.
Exactly.
But it's like, I mean, I can't imagine that this was not a weird situation for all of these guys. We know it was. But...
And I definitely never need to see a 20-minute Scott Norton match ever again.
Nope.
No, you don't even need a 20-minute Shinya Hashimoto match, and that comes from a Shinya Hashimoto fan. These are not the guys that go 20-minute draws. You need some leaner competition.
Mm-hmm.
With maybe more of a move set. Because as much as I love Shinya Hashimoto...
I think Shinya can go 20 minutes if he has an opponent that makes sense.
Yes, he needs a smaller guy than him. But he's a guy that doesn't have a crazy moveset either. His moveset is legitimately just kicking people. And I love that, but that for 20 minutes with Scott Norton...
Who basically is just no-selling him anyway.
Yeah, he's basically Baby Hawk.
Yeah.
Baby Hawk Norton.
Best performer of the night?
The
Nakano,
ladies.
Yeah,
Toyota,
Hokuto.
Kudo.
I say the ladies, Tanae.
Yeah.
The one lady that Mariko is the one that I was not familiar with, and I feel like she did the least in the match as well, but I don't know anything about her.
She was in the match to take the pin.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, the other girls are stars.
Name?
Yeah.
Yasuda, just because he pulled double duty.
Yoshida.
Yeah, he pulled double duty, so I know it was 2 nights in a row, not the same night, but still.
Considering he had just kind of started wrestling, I thought he had a good vibe about him.
He was better than I expected, considering he was this ex-sumo guy. He pulls off a nice suplex. I liked the palm strike thing. He's obviously very big, and it looked like his punches and stuff like that.
Being a former sumo, I picture big dudes for sumo.
Oh yeah, they're tall, but as soon as they stop from sumo, they legitimately drop tons and tons of weight. If you see old sumo guys, most of them.
If you see an offensive lineman in American football,
okay,
once they quit playing, they don't have to eat 7,000 calories a day to.
Yeah, so they'll just drop all their weight pretty quick.
Yeah,
unless you're talking about Akibono, but he's Hawaiian, and they're just gonna be fat. It's just in their DNA. But these Japanese guys, you don't see very many overweight Japanese guys. So as soon as they stop eating 10,000 calories a day, they shed the pounds pretty quick.
How about most surprising?
Eric being such a shithead, and him being there's one point in the show where he says there's only one Korea and no South Korea, and I'm like, Jesus. And then he's saying Kami and talking about how they basically are on lockdown in their hotel rooms, and I was just kind of surprised because I thought that I didn't realize that all of that kind of came out on this probably not very watched pay-per-view at the time, and I thought that was more of a revelation through interviews and post-internet podcasting, and then your Dark Side of the Ring, which is obviously very recent. I didn't realize that he just had those things to say as soon as they did green screen commentary.
Yeah. I mean, that a show that has kind of been hyped up in my head as this thing wasn't as good as
the event itself is impressive and incredible. The matches are milk toast would be the way to put it. It's there's great guys here, but they're not putting in the heavy work that they would need to do in front of wrestling fans, because there's no wrestling fans.
Yeah.
But the women, they didn't get that note. They went hog wild.
Yep.
Yeah, pretty much just like you said, and I've said it before, that I didn't enjoy the show as much as I was expecting to, given the history and hype and everything behind it.
It's a pass for me, dog. I mean, I didn't hate watching it, but I can see myself going back and watching Jarrett and Michaels.
I didn't hate watching it.
I
didn't enjoy watching it, though. I liked the women's match.
Yeah.
I shouldn't even say I loved the women's match. It was great.
But I had a thing where I was kind of just holding out hope, because there's some matchups that are nice. I was like, is this Steiner's and Hase match? There's no way this is going to be the best one, but will it be better than some of the other ones we've seen? And it's it's kind of like the ones that aren't the best one. It was fine and good.
And Hokuto, or however you say her name,
Akira Hokuto.
Yeah, just most surprising was she came out of that big old costume that was following Bull Nakano, because I was expecting some big
monster,
chick
to, and she's
this dainty little thing,
ready to fly. Because Nakano's not going to fly, but her leg drop looks better than Hogan's.
And now for a look back even further into the history of wrestling.
The dusty finish.
In the Tokyo Dome, Tatsumi Fujinami had won the NWA World's Heavyweight Championship from Ric Flair. 2 months later, on May 19th, 1991, Fujinami would make his way to Super Brawl, where the Nature Boy was waiting to regain his prestigious title. The two men would fight in and outside of the ring as they start the match, with Tatsumi focusing on the Nature Boy's back, while Nate would work the legs of Fujinami. They each would apply their signature submissions only for their opponent to escape each time. They would then head to the floor where Tatsumi would send Flair into a ring post, busting him open, allowing him to take control with an octopus stretch, which the Nature Boy escaped, only to flop down in exhaustion. Fujinami would take advantage with a pair of near falls, but Nate would begin to fight back with chops. Tatsumi would reverse a waistlock and attempt an Okana roll, only for Flair to shove him off to the ropes, sending him crashing into the ref, Tiger Hattori. The Nature Boy would then roll up Fujinami with the second ref, Bill Alfonso, entering the ring to count the pin for Ric Flair to regain the NWA World's Heavyweight Championship for the 9th time. A few months later, Nate would be stripped of the title, along with the WCW World Heavyweight Championship, when he would leave to go to the World Wrestling Federation. The NWA's top title would remain vacant until the next year, when a tournament in Japan would determine the next champion.
Shout out to Tiger Hattori, who was all over the show we just watched. Always good to see him.
That's who the ref was on this one?
Yeah, probably off for the most
For the most part.
Thought he looked familiar.
Next week, G1 Climax Final 1995.
Oh my god, I had no idea.
Are they going to be in Philly?
No.
Okay.
No, sir.
Woo!
They will be in maybe like in Nagoya or
Philly free.
Tokyo.
Rogukan.
3 weeks in a row.
The Kokugi-Con.
Yeah.
Maybe even...
It's just those two places.
Yeah. Typically, I was going to say Osaka. Maybe they're in Osaka, but probably not.
I think they ran the entire tournament at the Gogugi-Con.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, I'm excited. It's G1, baby. You know it's going to be better than the Korea show.
I hope so.
We would assume. We would assume.
It might be. So music from this week's show is... I couldn't find an opening theme, so I'm going to play one of Antonio Inoki's theme songs, because it's a fun song. Inoki Bom-Ba-Ye by Antonio Inoki and the Fighters. And the theme song he actually came out to on the show, and he won our main event, is Kimi ga Yo, which is the Japanese national anthem by Yoshishi Aku and Akamura Hayashi.
I knew it was the Japanese national anthem. Never knew the name of it. Inoki Bom-Ba-Ye sounds fun. I don't know that I know that song.
It is a very fun song, and it was at the beginning of this episode, and you should listen to it.
I will. I will be checking out Inoki Bom-Ba-Ye.
If you like this episode or any of our other ones, please go out there, rate and review us on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, or wherever you find your podcasts at. If you have any questions, comments, concerns,
Recipes, food ideas, beverages, something. We're going to be in Japan next. So,
Japan's nice and easy.
Yeah. Give me some suggestions. Something.
Some barbecued eel.
I'd be okay with that.
Sounds surprising.
but you can do
It's
you can do that
delicious.
on our email at wrestlinghistoryx@gmail.com or find us on Twitter at wrestlinghistox. That's wrestling HISTO.
X.
We'll talk to you next week.
Laters.
Inoki Bom-Ba-Ye.